Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Carnivorous Grandma Speaks. I am super excited tonight to have the one and only carnivore Kipp on my channel with me tonight. Hey, Kipp.
Hey, how are you doing, Miss Robin? I appreciate you having me on. Thank you. It's going to be a fun time tonight.
It is going to be a fun time tonight. I am so thankful that you are here. I've been trying to get you on for a while, so I'm glad that we finally found the time to connect. I've been watching you, of course, but I really wanted to have a chance to talk with you. I know that you're a brisket master, so we definitely have to talk about that. I think a cast iron king and doing all the things with the cooking. So I just watched a video with you doing some burgers, and those burgers looked absolutely amazing. So we can talk about that for sure. I love to cook, I love to eat. And so, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and then we'll get into it?
Well, for those of y'all that don't know me, I'm Kip, and I came to Carnivore. I guess I'll tell you a little bit about me. Um, I grew up in the rural South, and I grew up. We didn't have a lot of money, but it's crazy. Even though we didn't have a lot of money, I was getting bigger. You would think that, well, if you don't have a lot of money, I would be someone that is, maybe small or malnourished, even. We weren't that poor, but what it is we didn't have a lot of money, but processed foods and junk food are actually really, really cheap sometimes. And so I always ate country food and I ate tons of processed stuff. And my whole childhood, I was obese. And, I was over 100 pounds in kindergarten. I was over 300 pounds in middle school. By the time I was 18, I was over 400 pounds. And I never looked back, and I was 2 pounds away from 500 pounds. And I decided to start a family, and things weren't going good because, well, for one, me and my wife, we struggled for like 4 years until we finally had our daughter. Then after we had my baby, as she was 6 to 9 months old, I started having issues like picking her up and just doing things that a father would like to do. Like, I didn't want to get down on the floor and play with her because I knew it was going to be hard to get back up. And it's sad because you want to go or take them to the park. You're worried about you're going to get tired at the park and all these things. And so thankfully, because of people like Dr. Barry and so many awesome people on YouTube, I found out about this and found about this lifestyle, and things have been amazing ever since.
That is awesome. How old's your baby?
She just turned 2 the beginning of this month. She's 2 years
Oh,
old.
gosh. Oh. Are your wife and daughter on carnivore with you, or are you like the only one in your house like me?
I'm the only one in the house, and it's tough at times, but I've gotten so used to it that it's not as bad anymore. I still have to watch myself whenever I go to, like, because I live in a small town, so if I drive to like 45 minutes away to like what I consider a big city, which most people would consider just a regular town, like if they've got 30,000 people there, I think that's a big town, like huge. But so when I drive 45 minutes away to a town like that and they have all these different chain restaurants and stuff,
Mhm.
that's when I have these triggers to go eat that stuff because that's what I always did. That was like a celebration. Oh, we drove 45 minutes and we're in the town, we're shopping, going to the mall. Why don't we go ahead and eat this food too? So that's what gets me. It's not necessarily at my house because at home I've kind of built this little safety net. I've got used to this routine day in and day out, and I'm always cooking meat on my smokers anyway. So at home isn't that much of a challenge, but when I go places, I
Mhm.
have to be careful.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I actually just came from Culver's. I don't know if you guys have Culver's down
We do.
south. Oh my gosh. Culver's has the absolute best custard,
I've
and
had it before. It's really good.
it's better than ice cream or anything like that. It's so good. And we went there with my grandkids this afternoon, And as I was walking in, I was making a video for the channel, and I was saying like, going to Culver's is not the thing. I can pretty much resist a lot of things, but going to Culver's is hard because I really do enjoy their custard, but I didn't have any. And the other thing is that Culver's burger patties they're not that good. They're all right, but they're not good. They're not good like what you could make at home or like a Five Guys burger patty or something like that. They're just not that good. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, so I understand those, triggers of going out, especially when you travel. It's hard. It can be difficult, I feel. So, the other thing that you said is that you ate a lot of country food. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What do you mean by that?
Fried chicken, fried okra and squash, and tomato gravy and rice in the morning. We made these things called like hoe cakes, and there was
Hmm.
another thing called fritters, cornbread fritters, and just a bunch of different, all kind of. And we always would go fishing and catch catfish, and we'd fry them up with batter them and fry them. And so I grew up eating stuff like that, and of course I ate like wild game and stuff, but I grew up eating that stuff my whole life. And but it wasn't the meat wasn't the problem, but it was the batter that I had on it, and it was the bread that we had with it. And then of course there's this thing down in the South called sweet tea, and
Hmm.
sweet tea, like we drink. I mean, I drink until I was like 20. I hardly never drank water. I always drank sweet tea, and every now and then, if I was stopping at a gas station, I would get like a Dr. Pepper or a Mountain Dew. But I always drink sweet tea. That still to this day, that's my favorite taste and drink, period. But I have to stay away from it. And there have
Yeah.
been times that when I went off playing and I went to like somewhere like Popeye's Chicken or something, I had like a big thing of sweet tea, and it's still, I mean, yes, it was way sweeter than it used to be, but instantly it all came back, and it was like the memories of drinking all that tea, and I would be like wanting it in that moment and everything. But then I just remember and realize what all it done to me for all those years, and I have to get myself, I have to remind myself, look, that stuff was killing me because I was right at 500 pounds, and I wasn't doing something right, and it was the food that I was eating and the drinks that I was drinking that was the problem.
So, they're talking in the chat about the sweet tea. Rick says, I have several friends who drink a lot of sweet tea. I like sweet tea too. Um, and in fact, I really like, I always say like the tea that has the brewed taste. McDonald's makes really good sweet tea. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of crazy, but McDonald's really has good tea. It has a brewed taste. It tastes good.
Mhm.
And but the down south tea is crazy sweet. It's sweeter than any tea that we get up here in the northern Michigan. We don't get any. I mean, we have to buy something that's called sweet tea to get it to
Mhm.
be that sweet because it's very, very sweet. And
Yeah,
Frederick said,
and most of our parents made it at home, and they put it's unbelievable how much sugar they'll put in 1 gallon of tea. I mean,
yeah,
it's like syrup.
yeah, yes, it's super sweet down south, definitely. And I do like sweet tea, so I used to make my sweet tea with like a sugar-free sweetener, like sucralose, liquid sucralose, or something like that, and make it really sweet. And it's so good. But yes, it's probably not the best thing that you can have. So
Yeah, and I was having a double problem because I would go to you mentioned McDonald's. I would go to McDonald's and I would drink a sweet tea. And honestly, sometimes this is what my order would look like. I would get like 4 double cheeseburgers. Well, they're called McDoubles. I'd get 4 of those, and then I would get a large fry, and then I would also get 2 sweet teas. That way, I could drink one with my food, and then I could drink another one while I'm just riding around afterwards. And so I
yeah.
was having the bread and all that stuff, and then on top of it, and the fries, and then on top of it I was having the sweet tea. And it was just, when you mix I mean, carbs are not good, a lot of carbs, and sugar ain't either, but when you mix the two, I mean it's a disaster.
Right. It's so much carbs in the drink. I'm not sure if it was Frederick that was talking about that, was saying like, the drink is more carbs than the meal a lot of times because of all of the sugar. So, Carnivore Trucker says raspberry tea. What do you think? What's your thought on raspberry tea?
That ain't as good as sweet tea.
No, it's not. So Rick says that one friend used a CGM and was shocked at how high their sugars got. Yet he thought I was killing myself with beef and lard. Wow. Let's see. Simpson says McDonald's is the only sweet tea I've ever had, and I couldn't stand it. Way too sweet. McDonald's has some good sweet tea. If you like sweet tea, McDonald's has good. They have good tea in general. I feel iced tea. So once I got off sugar, I started drinking their just regular tea, and it's pretty tasty. I like it a lot. So do you still go to McDonald's? And if you do, what do you get there?
I try to stay away from McDonald's, but if I do, then I would just get hamburger patties. I have been before and got eggs and bacon for breakfast. Like whenever we were like on our way to church or something, and
Mhm.
I was just because normally I don't eat breakfast, but I was just like hungry that morning and we were fitting to go into church. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just get me some bacon and eggs from McDonald's. But of course, I only drink water when I go. And those are little things that will get me by, but I don't want to do that on a regular basis. Plus,
Right.
every time you go there, you have to look at their menu and see all that stuff that you used to eat. And
Yes.
sometimes it can be a temptation.
It definitely can. I just have to pause here and say, "Hey, Bill, how are you? I just watched your video the other day. It was awesome. Thanks for joining us."
I'm not sure if I've seen his newest video, but I know I watch almost every video of his.
Yeah,
He is an inspiration to me.
absolutely. Yep. Everybody loves Bill. Bill's amazing and such a great storyteller. I watch every one of his videos, and for some reason, I get notifications from him. So some of my channels that I'm subscribed to, I don't get the notifications, but I get Bill's notifications. They always pop up on my page, and I always watch them. So um, nice to have you here, Bill. Thanks.
Yep, Bill, tell Daisy we all said hello.
Yes, give Daisy some scritches for us. Okay, so Carnivore Trucker says Chicken Express has the best sweet tea. We're going to stay away from the sweet tea.
Yeah,
We're
we
going to
don't
go
need it.
wherever the best sweet tea is. We're not going there. Especially
Absolutely.
at home. Yep. I was thinking as you were talking about sweet tea, I was thinking about how we used to make Kool-Aid. Now, when you talked about all that food, fried chicken and fried okra and fritters and hoe cakes and all that stuff, it sounds like soul food to me.
Oh,
That's
it
what we
is.
call it. Up in the north, we call it a soul food. And that's how I grew up too, was on the
Mhm.
soul food and also on some of the processed food. My grandmother did have a garden, so we did, in the summertime we ate stuff out of the garden and stuff, but for the most part I remember eating like Vienna sausages and and potted meat was my favorite. I still like potted meat to this day, and Ritz crackers. Those are
Mhm.
the top of the line back in my day.
My
So
daddy still my daddy still jokes about how whenever I was a kid, Viner saw we call them Viners, but they were that was my favorite snack. And whenever like whenever I couldn't get them whenever I was little, I would get off the bus and I would run in there to where they were at and look and see if there was some. And if mama didn't have any ready, then I would start crying. And
oh,
I would get so heartbroken if there wasn't any. So she tried to keep them stocked up because I mean that was like my favorite thing. He still the other day when we were at my daughter's second birthday party, he was meeting one of my friends for the first time, and he was telling them that story. So it's been one of them things that I've always loved.
wow, yeah. I don't eat. I mean, I haven't had a Ritz cracker, and I can't remember, but I do remember how they tasted, and so they were good. They were
Mhm.
good. So, Aid is it or Ade? I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name.
I say
Says
aid.
Aid. Okay, says it's high in oxalates. That's true. Tea is
Probably so, yeah,
probably
because I
high
mean,
in oxalates. Absolutely. And Frederick says McDonald's has free real refills in North Carolina. No need to get two. Do you guys get refills? Free refills? We get free
Well, you
refills
do when you're at the restaurant,
when
but
you're
I
at
would
the
get
restaurant,
one when
right?
I was
Yeah.
driving. I would eat them I would eat my food in the car, and then I would be driving down the road, so then I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't be able to get a refill.
Yeah, right. So Deb can't stand sweet tea. I don't like sweet drinks at all.
That's
I
good,
wish
Deb.
I could
That's
say that.
awesome.
I wish I could say that. I got tempted the other week to drink a Diet Coke. Diet Coke is like my, I would say that I haven't had one. I didn't actually have it, but I was very tempted to have it. That was the thing that I really loved was Diet Coke. So, all right. So, let's see. Ellie is saying fast food was one of the first things I cut out of my life over 14 years ago. I can't say I've cut it out because I go to McDonald's often, actually. And I get the quarter-pound burger patties. It's very convenient and it's like 2 minutes from my house. So I go there a lot, and their beef is just beef. So I do enjoy McDonald's, but it's all of the fries and the I do want to mention about McDonald's breakfast though. Like their scrambled eggs are not egg. They're not real, they're like bago eggs, I call them. They're not real eggs. But the round egg that comes on the egg McMuffin is a regular egg. So if you ever go to McDonald's for breakfast, get the round egg. Okay, so they're talking about Bill in the chat. Everybody's saying hey to Bill. And their Bill is looking amazing. I did see that. And so Sandra had a comment up here. Just want to go back to that here for a second. I started. It says your daughter should be carnivore, at least keto. It's best to start at her age so she won't fall into the addiction. Just look to Dr. Barry and Nisha's two children. I do agree with this, but it is a struggle, I have to say. My kids are all grown, but they're on a standard American diet, and even when they're with me, they are on sort of a standard American diet, even when they're with me.
Yeah.
And so I feel bad, though. I really do feel bad. So, what do you think about raising kids on is your child on a standard American diet, keto, or just standard American like?
Yeah, it's always been a hard issue because I have always seen things one way when it comes to carnivore, but my wife, she's on the total in the other end of the spectrum. So it's hard to find that compromise. And I've heard Sandra mention that before, One Hope for All. And it's true. I wish that was the case, but I have to have peace in my home. And I have to because me and my wife, we see things differently, and so I have to. So what we've compromised to do is she doesn't drink any sodas, any tea, anything like that. She only drinks water or like carbonated water, and then maybe once a month she'll have, or something, once every couple weeks she might have like a little bit of juice, but it'll have like 80% water and like 20% juice in the bottle. And then when it comes to food, I try to feed her a bunch of meat, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. She has, French fries, and she has other standard American food options. And I can't just be like, oh yeah, hey babe, by the way, we're doing this my way, or the highway, because if I do that, like that will just cause a lot of stuff in my marriage, and I'm not doing that. I love my wife and I respect my wife, and I'm just going to keep being the example and showing the power of the proper human diet in my life. And you never know, maybe one day my wife may be like, you know what, I'm going to try this too.
I think so. I mean, that's kind of the experience that I'm having. After being on it for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 9 months, my husband just naturally gravitated towards more of a meat-based way of eating. He's definitely not carnivore. But I cook most of the meals. So all I'm cooking is meat. And then I'll cook him some vegetable to go along with it sometimes. But more so lately, he's been gravitating towards what I'm eating. And I'll say, well, I didn't cook a vegetable. And he's like, okay, I'll just eat what you cooked, you know. And so, eventually maybe she will decide to switch over. And for the kids, I would love to see my kids be at least keto, my
Me
grandkids.
too. That
But at this time their parents are not doing that, so it makes it a little challenging. And when they're eating carbs, I hate to increase their fat if they're eating carbs, because that's going to make them even sicker. But they all know that I'm a carnivore, so they'll know that I was a healthy grandma and that I ate a carnivore diet, and that's something that they could try if they find themselves being sicker in the future.
mhm.
So, hopefully some of them will decide to do it. I know some of them are true meat lovers, some of them don't like meat at all and stuff like that. So it is challenging, and you don't want to have confusion in your household over eating, because that's really hard.
Yeah, but I
Changing.
will say that my wife, she does get interested in my blood work, and so she does like ask me like, when you're gonna get blood work done, let's see how that goes. She's like, I'm okay with you doing this as long as you make sure you get your blood work and stuff like that, because she's still like skeptical of it a little bit. But I mean, she's come a long ways. I can tell that she's come a long ways of being more accepting with it. But I mean, I just got to give it time, and over time let her keep seeing my blood work and stuff like that, and just seeing how I'm doing. I guess she's kind of like sitting back and letting me be the guinea pig, and
Hmm.
just to see how things is going, and if it's not affecting me in a negative way. You never know what she might do. But I can't just be like, hey wife, this is the way everything's going to be. I can't do that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So, how long have you been on a carnivore way of eating?
I started January 2nd of 2023, and yeah, so I started, what is that, like 14 months ago. And I wish I could say I stuck with it the whole 14 months, but there were the second half of last year, there were multiple times where I kind of kept getting off plan and stuff like that. So I've kind of, in January, I seen it. I've never been a person that's huge on like New Year's resolutions or anything, but like never in my life. But for some reason, I decided on January 2nd that I wanted to do it. And so I done the same thing this year, January 2nd. I was like, you know what? I dedicated myself to it last year and had great results. I'm just going to rededicate myself to do even better this year. And so far, things have been going good.
That is awesome. I just had my carniversary. What's today? 2 days ago.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's so cool. I mean, to have done this for a year, and it's like amazing. So tell us about your results. What kind of results have you had during the course of time? I know that you maybe want to talk a little bit about your struggles, but I kind of want to talk about the benefits that you've achieved through your carnivore way of eating.
Well, I mean, a lot of people would think that like the weight is, everybody always asks about the number and stuff like that, and they think about that, but honestly, that's not the biggest thing. And when I say that, I really mean it, because my shoulder used to hurt bad, like really bad all the time. Like every day or every night, I would lay in bed and fuss with it and move certain ways, and I'd have to change my sleeping position, and it was just a struggle. And I had arthritis in my shoulder, and I was only 20 something years old. And what's crazy is about 2 weeks into living this lifestyle, I remember sitting at the kitchen table with my wife one day, and I told her, and I said, my shoulder's not hurting anymore. And it just got better and better and better. And that was the biggest thing. And there's been times where when I've went off plan for just a few days, that shoulder pain started to come back. And that's always a reminder to get me back on the right path. So that's the main thing. There have been other things like I used to have to take heartburn medication, which I didn't always take it like I was supposed to, but I was prescribed it. Sometimes I would, I would plan out my meals where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to eat, but before I eat, like I'm going to go ahead and take Tums now, like 2 or 3 big Tums. And I would take the Tums in advance because I knew the heartburn was going to come. And that got better. And I noticed that I'm a better employee at work whenever I eat this way because I'm not always tired. I feel like I'm firing on all cylinders. I'm into things more. Like I've never in my life been into reading, and now I like to read, and I'm getting into stuff like that. And it's almost like I was being held back all my life because of the food that I was eating. And now I want to read, and I'm at work and I listen to audiobooks, and I've never been a person that was into that. So I just think that something in me is waking up because of the food that I'm eating, and it's crazy.
Wow, that is amazing. That's the first time I've had anybody tell me that carnivore made them a better employee.
I mean, it did. It honestly did make me a better
That
employee.
is awesome. That
I
is
used to get at
awesome.
work and I was always thinking about what I was going to eat for breakfast when I got there, and then like a couple hours later I'd crash. And then
Mhm.
I would think about lunch, and I would be hungry and focused on lunch. What are we eating for lunch? And then after lunch, I would get a real up for a minute, and then about an hour or two later I'd come right back down, and then I was just ready to go home because I felt like I needed a nap. And so I just, and when I work on documents on the computer and stuff, I couldn't multitask as good as I can now. And it's just, I don't know. It's the food. That's the only thing I can think of, is that it's the food, because I've never been like that my entire life until I started eating this way.
Wow, that is awesome. There's so many people in the chat. They're chatting it up. I just got to bring up a couple of these. That's awesome. I've been keeping a list of different issues that people have been dealing with and how carnivore has basically changed that. I'm definitely adding better employee to my list. That's awesome. That is awesome. So let's see here. Um, Aid says it's crazy to think how much money we've given to fast food companies in the past. They got rich and we got sick. That is very true. Um,
Absolutely.
Simpson asks about potted meat. So, not spam, but there's a product that is called potted meat, and it is just like, I don't know, it's the texture of baby food, is what I would say.
I love it though. I
I
love
love
potty
it.
meat.
It's so
I
good.
love potty meat and spam and Viners.
Mhm.
They're called Vienes, but I say Viners. All that stuff. I grew up eating that stuff.
Yep. It's so good, and you can eat it on carnivore. It's good.
Yeah, you can.
Laurel loves spam, fried crisp, and tallow. That sounds amazing. Bill's talking about Ritz crackers fried in butter. Come on, Bill.
I've never
So
had
good.
that, Bill. I've always ate Ritz crackers, but I never had it fried in butter.
No, I think I have had it fried in butter. And then, you put it on the top of different casseroles and stuff and put butter on it. Oh my gosh, ridiculous. Just
I have had
ridiculous.
it on casseroles crunched up on top of casseroles, but I've never had it like whole on top of a casserole.
Yeah. This reminiscing actually reminds me that some of the stuff tastes really good. I can see why it's so addictive. It's because it's
Uh-huh.
very, very tasty. And
Those companies know what they're doing.
they know exactly what they're doing. They're using the science and coming up with things that taste awesome, and set off all of our alarms and bells and say, "Oh, this is delicious!" And so that's why we're all addicted to it.
And they
Sandra loves
position it
Ritz
just right.
crackers.
They position it just right too at the check register or at the cash
Yes.
register to make sure you buy it.
You are so right. I was thinking about this the other day as I was going through my local grocery store. When I'm coming out, they have the self checkout thing, and there's always a line there. And there's all the chips and popcorn and candies and cookies and everything right there at the checkout line for you to grab on the way out the door. So, Sandra loved Ritz crackers. Her mom used to work for Nabisco. Wow. She bring home Chips Ahoy cookies. Yeah. Those, oh my God. Yeah. I'm glad I can't bring that stuff in the house. I just need to leave it at the store. I can't bring that stuff in the house. Lindy is here. Hey, Lindy. I struggled so much at the start of my journey with my hubby not being carnivore. And it wasn't until I understood that this was my journey that I was able to get past that. I totally agree. It's
That's a
so,
powerful statement.
it is. It's a very powerful statement. It's so hard when you're sitting here trying to do the right thing for your health and you see everybody around you continuing down the same path. They're still struggling with shoulder pain and back pain, and they're still struggling with high blood pressure and um, kidney disease and type 2 diabetes. It's very, very difficult to watch that when you know that there's a dietary pattern that could really help with it. So it's tough. It's tough being the only person in your family. So that's why we're here with you guys, because this community is what it's all about. It helps a lot. Okay,
Yeah,
so
y'all are. This community is the only group of people that I mean. I did go eat lunch today with two of my subscribers that are carnivore as well. But outside of that, like I don't have people in my personal life that are on this journey. So this community is critical to help keep me on track. Not only just keep me accountable, but just keep me motivated to keep going. Because even when I do my walking videos and stuff, I'm out there walking by myself, and there's times where I'll think like nobody's going to do this for me. I have to do this. I have to decide to get out there and do it anyway. But whenever I have this community that's like pushing me to do it and saying, "Go, you can do it, you can do it," that kind of motivates me and inspires me to just keep going.
it absolutely does. I mean, just having people there that are so encouraging, and it's so helpful. It is so helpful because yeah, a lot of us, we're the only ones in our family, or we're the only one in our immediate vicinity in our world, in our physical world, that are eating a carnivore diet in particular, but even a proper human diet. Most people don't even know what a proper human diet is or have never even heard of it. So it can be challenging. I want to point this out because this is actually true. The most important thing for great health is to cut out seed oils, sugars, carbs, and processed products. Seed oils are super evil and bad. Totally agree.
I've tried at times to whenever I was having a steak, I had like I call it fake butter, but margarine or whatever. I've tried putting that on the steak before, and that caused my shoulder to start hurting again. So
Mm.
that just that alone, even without bread, without noodles, without anything like that, without batter or anything, just taking a ribeye, which we know is like one of the ultimate foods you could ever eat, taking a ribeye and putting margarine on top of it, just that one thing alone made my shoulder pain come back. So it's causing inflammation and so many problems inside of people's body. But so many people, we grew up on it. It's cheap, and people just saying, "Oh, I'll just get that," and all these different oils, canola oil, and all that stuff. That stuff is terrible for you.
It really, really is. It's so funny. I was getting ready to cook some food for the Super Bowl party that I went to, and I was going to do chicken wings. And I looked in my cabinet, and I had about a third of a bottle of vegetable oil in the cabinet. I pulled the bottle out, sat it on the counter. I looked at that bottle of oil and said, I can't feed my family this. I can't. I could not bring myself to cook the chicken wings in the oil. I ended up like coating them in tallow and just baking them in the oven because I didn't have enough for heart attack chicken. So they were so good. And everybody talked about how good they were. And I'm just like, I don't think I could ever bring myself to feed anybody any more seed oils ever again. It's terrible. It's
Yeah, I
absolutely
never
terrible.
cook with them at all. I mainly just cook with beef tallow or real butter. That's pretty much the only things that I use now.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, the heart doctors are still telling people to eat, not to eat butter, to eat margarine, to eat like country crock. Like, oh
That's
my
a
God,
joke.
no,
That's a
don't do
joke.
it. What is ASD? Let me think about this. Clean carnivore is best for ASD. Somebody put in the chat what that is because I don't know.
I'm
Clean.
looking it up.
Okay, great.
What is that? Autism spectrum disorder. So I guess
Okay.
autism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Most definitely. And the funny thing is that people think these things can't be touched with diet, and it's just kind of crazy that it really can. So many good comments in the chat. Um, Carnivore in 24 was saying, yes, I took a heartburn pill once daily. Is anybody having heartburn with like with meat on a carnivore diet?
I
No,
never do.
really?
Never ever. Unless it's fried chicken from Popeyes. That will give me that'll give me heartburn. Whenever I went off plan and had that last year, like around November, I went way off the rails and had that. Dude, it was rough. I couldn't even hardly go to sleep just because of the heartburn being so bad.
Yeah, right. I actually do have heartburn. My son is 8. Jay's son is 8 and still won't eat steak. Oh, hopefully he'll grow into it. Somebody's talking about the reading. That's awesome that you enjoy reading now, along with everything else. Okay. Well, Kipp, you're so popular. There are 42 people and only 5 on Robin's channel. That's awesome. I'm so
Well,
glad
they
you
need to
joined
go.
Robin.
They need to make sure that they subscribe to her channel too and show her some love.
And if you are on my channel and not subscribed to Kipp's channel, you got to go subscribe to Kipp's channel as well.
Thank you.
All right. There's so many comments. Oh my gosh, you guys, let me see if I can see if there's any questions. If you guys have questions,
The comments is one of my favorite parts because I like hearing other people's thoughts and taking
mhm,
their questions and stuff. That's how you get to know a lot of the people in the comment section. I think it's
absolutely.
awesome.
That good then, because we're gonna go through some of these. Absolutely. So eat you some fried chicken skin. How do you feel about fried chicken skin?
As just, I mean, see, to me, when I hear the word fried chicken, I think of like it's battered and fried. Like, but I hear people like Rick saying that they eat fried chicken, and he says that he's ate fried chicken, and he just meant like you take a bunch of oil and you dump the chicken in it. I've never done that.
Oh, you
Uh,
gotta try it.
I've never done it because
So
I mean
good.
I've never tried it. But I mean I've took oil and cut up like pieces of chicken before and cooked it like that in a skillet, but I've never like deep fried just regular chicken by itself with nothing on it.
Okay, so you've got to try the heart attack chicken,
I'll have
which
to try that.
is chicken fried in lard or fried in beef tallow. I did mine in beef tallow. It is so good. It's so much better than like the breaded chicken. I don't like the taste of flour. So
You you would
flour
have you would have starved at my mama's house.
I used to like it. Don't get me wrong. I used to like it. But something about that floury taste is just, it's like pasty. It tastes like paste to me. So I'm not a huge fan of it. But that fried chicken fried in either lard or beef tallow is absolutely incredible. I just actually made some chicken skins. I baked them in the oven, but it's the same thing. I took the chicken skins off the chicken thighs and then just cleaned them and baked them in the oven, make these crispy chips. And they are so good. Chicken skins are just really good.
Now I love the skins on like okay, so I use a smoker a lot. So I like to smoke like chicken thighs. And
Hmm.
then like if I smoke a bunch of chicken thighs as like meal prep, sometimes I'll take a couple of extra skins off of the chicken thighs and just eat them because I love the way chicken skin tastes, but I've never just deep fried it in a bunch of oil like that unless it had flour on it.
It's super good. You got to try it. When you do it, make a video so we can see how you love it.
All right.
Okay, so Deb is saying, I can see the better employee thing. I'm far more organized since being carnivore. I have ADHD as well. So yeah, definitely. It's great for brain health. We've been watching Dr. Georgia Ede. She's making all the rounds talking about her new book, Healthy Diet, Healthy Mind, I think. Healthy Diet, Healthy Brain, one of those two. And talking about the mental health benefits associated with eating a carnivore diet. And so, we all experience, when we go on carnivore, experience the lifting of the brain fog that we didn't even realize that we had, some of us, until it lifts. And it's like, oh my God, I can see, So definitely that is definitely great for the brain. Carnivore in 24 says community on YouTube is the only reason I've stuck to this. Awesome.
I
Yep.
can relate to that.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I can't say it's the only reason I've stuck to it, but you guys are so encouraging. You guys are just amazingly encouraging and supportive and helpful for the most part. Some people are can be a little challenging. We were talking about that before we came on. Like,
Mhm.
there's some
Yeah,
rude people out there, you know, but but for the most part, the carnivore community is absolutely amazing, and I'm just loving it. Okay, so Jean says, just keep in mind that food is medicine or poison, your choice. Absolutely, 100%.
I agree.
Yes. So you've been carnivore for a little over a year. How much weight have you lost?
Well, about halfway through the year last year, well, I think it was 7 or 8 months in, I was down like 104 pounds. And then that's when everything started going south. I started letting, like, I had these triggers come back up. And I think a lot of it was like getting comfortable or getting relaxed, feeling like you've got this under control. You are feeling like you got this figured out now,
Yeah.
and you can become complacent and okay, I'll have a little bit more of this. Like it started with having just a little bit more things. And then next thing you know, I was way off the rails. And then I would try to get back on track for a couple weeks, and then I would cave again and get back on track for a couple weeks and cave again. Then when it got close to the holidays, it was just like, okay, I'm done for now. I just kind of gave up.
Mm,
And so I had put 60 pounds back on
wow.
uh, in 2 months' time. I didn't even know you could gain a pound a day. I didn't think that was a possibility. But
Mhm.
and I know that a lot of that was like inflammation. I think maybe 30 or 40 pounds of it might have been, some fat that I was storing, but also a lot of that was inflammation and stuff. And
Yeah.
so since I started back in January, of the 60 pounds that I gained back, I've lost around 30 of those pounds. So
Wow. Great.
I'm halfway back to where over halfway back to where I was at. I don't know
Mhm.
if I do the math. It's what I'm maybe 70 something pounds to 80 pounds down right now. I'd have to actually calculate it, but I've got to get back over that 100 pounds and keep going in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that happens a lot. If I think about this year, I like made up in my mind that I was not going to do any of that cheating because I've, of course, done the diet roller coaster my whole life since the age of 11. And so I already know. I already knew, like, if I lose it, I'm going to lose it. And I'll just be, and then I'll turn around and, so I decided not to do it. But I think we all know, if there's anybody out there who has ever been a yo-yo dieter, or, that you gain that weight so fast, like incredibly fast, especially when you're on a you go from a proper human diet, keto, carnivore, ketovore, back to a standard American type diet. The inflammation is just incredible.
Yes, absolutely.
It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I did keto and Cheeto for so long. I totally get it, how fast that weight can come back on. And you're like, dang, I just turned around and I had gained back all my weight plus some. And so that's challenging. How have you been doing since you got back on it on January 2nd?
I've been doing great. I mean, I had one time where I went off plan for, and anytime I went off plan before, I went like way off plan, and it would be like the whole weekend, and sometimes it was like a whole week or 2 weeks, and at the end of the year it was 2 whole months. But sometime in January I went off plan, and I had, like, of course, fried chicken at my mom's house, and it. But the thing was, it was just that one meal, and by
Mm.
having just that one meal, of course, I didn't feel like 100% the next day, but it wasn't like the end of the world. And then the next day, I just jumped right back on plan, and I knew I had a decision to make after that. Like, I told myself that next morning when I woke up, I was like, "So you got a decision to make. You can either do this. I mean, you can either be like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and be off plan today and tomorrow, or you can just jump right back on and pretend it didn't even happen." And so thankfully I just pretended that it didn't even happen, and
Yeah.
and I just got right back on the horse and kept moving in the right direction.
That is awesome. That is, I mean, that's what you got to do, right? Is like,
Mhm.
don't let one indulgence like derail your whole thing. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you were able to do that because it can be challenging, definitely. The cravings are intense and crazy. Like carb cravings are just the devil. They're the devil. So, Bama J, congratulations. Happy carniversary. Yes, that's awesome. So Ricky Lee said, weird, my shoulders never hurt me. I'm 53. I started carnivore last May. Shoulders started getting pain only in the last few months. Oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's different than what I normally hear.
Yeah, that is different. I wonder what you're eating, Ricky Lee. And Ellie says, I become a bad hostess because I only serve carnivore food. I was just thinking about that today. Like, I was at the library with my grandkids today, and I was walking through the aisle looking at all the cookbooks, and I was thinking how much I love to cook. I absolutely love to cook.
Me too.
Um, and I was looking at all the cookbooks, and that I would have been taking like a pile of cookbooks home with me in the past to cook various different, cuisines. And I was like, oh man, I can't take any of these home. I can't take these home and cook the food that's in them. So that was a little bit of a bummer because I do enjoy cooking it. And it sounds like that's one of your favorite things too.
Yes, especially cooking with with smokers outside and grills, and I dabble with cast iron as well.
Hmm.
But that kind of stuff that's my favorite kind of. It just feels more. It to me it feels more authentic. Whenever you're messing with a real fire and things like that, it just brings us back to our roots.
Yes, indeed. So let's talk about brisket.
Absolutely, I love brisket. I just got hungry when you said that.
I haven't had any brisket in a little while. I need to call my stepdad and say, like, are you making any brisket? I think he's got some in the freezer. I'll have to go over there and get some because what's your favorite meat and preparation to eat?
My I have a lot of favorites, but if I had to just pick one, it would be beef dino ribs. They're huge, and there's 3 bones, in Texas barbecue they call it brisket on a bone.
Okay.
And it is phenomenal, and it's got a lot of fat in it. It's just amazing. You have to cook it low and slow, but beef dino ribs are my favorite. But I also love a lot of different cuts. I mean, of course, I love ribeye. Who don't love ribeye? But I like things like hanger steak. I like picanha. I like just normal beef ribs, brisket, just anything that comes off a cow. If you know what you're doing, it's going to be pretty good. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of cuts out there. Tri tip is really good.
Hmm.
There's just a lot of good cuts out there that I enjoy.
So I've heard of tri-tip, but I've never tried to cook a tri-tip. Is that like a low and slow thing or a hot and fast?
Well, they're usually kind of thick. They're normally a couple pounds, some of them 2 or 3 pounds. So I would suggest that you cook it low and slow, and then you could reverse sear it at the end. If you know what a reverse sear, so you cook it low, and then put a sear on it right there at the last 15 to 10 degrees to get a
Mhm.
little crust on the outside.
Yeah.
That would be my favorite way of cooking a tri-tip, is to reverse sear it.
I have never had dino ribs. Is that like beef short ribs?
Yeah, but they're a little bit bigger. They're kind of like beef short ribs, but they, to me, they taste better,
Mm,
and they have a little bit more beefy flavor, and they're incredible. They're just
okay.
incredible. But I mean, they're not the cheapest cut, because normally when I get them, they're about 6 pounds, 7 pounds, and for that 6 or 7 pounds, I normally spend like $50 or something like that. They're not necessarily the cheapest cut of meat in the world, but like if I'm thinking like, hey, it's my birthday, or hey, this is something that I want to have special, that's what I'm having. Beef dino ribs is out of this world.
Wow, I'm gonna have to try to look for that. Oh man, that sounds incredible.
Oh, and
So,
tomahawk ribeyes is good too. I got one in the freezer that I wanted to cook it this weekend for everybody, but I didn't realize we had like a event at my church this weekend, tomorrow evening. So I'm gonna have to probably wait and cook it next weekend. But I'm gonna show everybody how to cook how to reverse sear a tomahawk ribeye the right way.
yes, yes, please. Because I bought tomahawk ribeye and I was like, "That's all right. It's too thick.
Nah,
It's too thick."
if you know what you're doing, you can make it good.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to be watching for that video. We have a question here. Hi, Carnivore Nana, Kip, and Lady Speaking. This is Robin. Hi. Your carnivorous grandma here. I started BBBE with Kip and have fallen. Ugh, hard to get up. It's a huge mental thing, and now I've got meat aversion. Help, please. Any advice for Carnivore Nana?
Well, the first thing I would say is try not to beat yourself up, and realize that you're human and that you slipped. But I mean, today's a new day, regardless of what happened yesterday, or even if you got to wake up in the morning and say, I'm putting it in the past. But also, I mean, here's the thing with BBB&E. Like, I love doing BBB&E. I started that challenge in January, and there have been a couple times where I had a meal that wasn't technically BBB&E, but my goal in life is not to say that I was BBB&E always. My goal in life is to get healthy and be around for my family. So if you're doing BBB, or even if you're doing line diet, if you're doing line diet for a long time, but you're wanting to have something like some chicken or something, it's not the end of the world if you do that. If you want to have something that's not necessarily on that plan, but I'm not saying go out and have donuts, but if you want to have like a pork chop and that's what you're craving, go have your pork chop and then get back on plan tomorrow with your line diet or BBB&E or whatever you're doing, and don't beat yourself up, because some people will beat themselves up because they had some chicken wings or something, and they'll beat themselves up so bad and feel like, well, I couldn't stick to that challenge, and so I might as well just go way off plan. So don't beat yourself up, and just, we all struggle. Well, the ones that are being honest struggle at times, but some people, either they're just blessed and they never struggle, or they're not telling the truth.
Right. That's true. And I agree with what Kip said. If you're having a meat aversion on BBBE, eat some other kind of meat, something that you have a taste for. I know that I had kind of an aversion for eggs towards the end of the year. Um, and so now this month I'm on lion diet, which is just ruminant meats. So mostly beef is what I've been eating. And now I'm like, okay, I can't wait to have an egg because I've been eating beef all month long. So just eat what sounds good to you as long as it's meat. You don't have to just stay with BBB and E if you're having an aversion to the meat there. That's what my suggestion. And I know that other people in the comments are providing suggestions for you as well. Some are talking about fasting. So here's another question. And I think the people in the comments are also answering this, but what makes seed oils so bad?
Well, for starters, it's like a highly processed, not natural thing. Like, I mean, like years ago, like nobody had seed oils, like tons and tons and tons of different seed oils and stuff like that. So I don't know all the scientific stuff around it. You probably know a lot more about it than me, but I know that I've even heard Dr. Barry and him talk about how I think it was when, do you remember when it was that they come out with like vegetable oil and stuff like that?
Ooh, I want to say it's about 30 years ago.
It,
I don't know
it,
exactly, but I think it's around 30 years ago.
I think it was definitely sometime in the 1900s. Where,
Oh, in the
but if you think,
1900s. Wow, not 30 years ago.
I mean, it could have been 30 years ago because that might have been in the 1900s, but it was sometime during that time. But you got to think in the grand scheme of things, that's just a little speck compared to history, overall. But you think about things like animal fats, that's been around. People have been cooking with that forever. Like
Mm,
whenever they were cooking different
right.
meats, they had animal fat and stuff like that for years and years and years. And it's something that you could get. But I mean, years ago, people didn't just have bottles of, they didn't have bottles of avocado oil and bottles of, all these different oils with them everywhere that they went. But,
Yes.
they did have an animal that, whatever, a cow or whatever it was, and they had the fat off of that animal.
Yes. I know my grandmothers had bacon. They had the bacon can on the back of the stove. They always had the bacon grease for to use for cooking and for seasoning and stuff like that. So um I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when, but yeah, those are like super processed. I think they call them super processed foods. Really, they're really, really bad for your health. So, trying to think of who might have a video. Dr. Barry probably has a video about it that you might be able to take a look at and see. Um, so, Kipp, it's like we've been here for 56 minutes. I don't know how much time you have tonight.
You could take an extra 15.
Yay! I will
You could
take
take an
them.
extra 15. All right,
I'll
take
take them.
them.
So let's see here. Carnivore Nana saying I can hardly stand to eat chicken, beef tips, and eggs. I had to dump it last night as it made me sick. Fresh meat. Sorry to hear that, Carnivore Nana. Somebody mentioned fasting. You might want to try it if you're not hungry. You could definitely try fasting. I just wanted to talk a little bit more about this heartburn thing. So I saw a bunch of comments about this. Um, let's start here. I only get indigestion if I eat too close to bedtime. Um, I feel like I get maybe some acid indigestion from the liquid fat oils. Um, so if I eat the hamburger and the grease that comes off the hamburger, that will give me
So you're
heart.
probably just having too much fat in that
Yeah,
situation. You're probably overdoing it on the fat. You might be having like, I don't know what grade of or what percentage of fat you're having in your hamburger meat, but you probably need less fat in there. Like
yeah,
not
it's
in the
a
ground
balancing
itself,
act.
but like cooking with a little bit less oil.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for me with the fat. It really is because I have, I'm trying to make sure that and I hate it that every time we have a carnivore conversation, we have to talk about poop, but
Absolutely. I love it.
but it's a balancing act, like making sure that I have enough fat, but not too much fat. So now if I eat like ribeye fat bites that I've rendered all the fat out of it, no problem. No problem at all. That doesn't give me heartburn. Ellie's saying that I used to have heartburn from ribeyes in the beginning, but nothing like that anymore. So that's good. Aid says heartburn is caused by the stomach acid becoming more alkaline, and that's caused by sugars, carbs, alcohol, and processed junk. Well, I don't have any of those things, but I still sometimes get heartburn. So it's just not ideal. And then Keto Simple is saying it took me about 2 years being keto for me to get off Prilosec OTC. So I'm very happy for you, Kipp, that you are not having heartburn anymore. That's awesome.
But I have had the toilet issues if you're not careful with the fat, like, because I
Yes.
mean, I love the taste of like butter and stuff, and I would cook my stuff in a skillet with Wagyu tallow because I love Wagyu tallow,
Mm.
and I would cook my steak in a skillet with that, and then I would go grab me some Kerrygold out of the refrigerator and put on top of that. And whenever you have all that, I mean, you already got oil on the steak from cooking it in the pan, and then you're adding all that Kerrygold on top of it. And sometimes within like 15 minutes, I was headed to the toilet. And so I mean, it's like little lessons that you learn and find out like the right amounts for what you need. Because sometimes we're taking this high fat thing and we take it as like I just need copious amounts of fat, but sometimes there's a such thing as too much.
Yes, indeed. I'm just going to put my channel up here because somebody's asking what my channel is. I think this is it. So we'll just see if you can find me this way. Make a ticker go. There we go. That's my channel.
And I've tried the thing too, because I heard some people talking on my channel a while back about whenever I was having bathroom issues, they were mentioning, well, try to eat your, like, if you're going to have butter, try to eat it cool instead of like hot, super hot melted butter. And for me, I think that kind of did work. Like if I take like a little bitty pad of butter and I put it in my mouth, I feel like it doesn't affect me the same way as it would if I just sat there and drank hot liquid butter. Like,
Yes.
I feel like it's a totally difference when it comes to the bathroom by
I
doing that.
totally agree with you on that. As a matter of fact, I was thinking that I should probably just get my bite butter ready and put it in the freezer. And I like to eat those little frozen pieces of butter. They are very satiating and very tasty. So I do enjoy that. Hey, Brett, welcome. Let's see. Brett saying, I'm the same way. I know if I quit and go back to my old way of eating, my weight would come back so fast. Absolutely.
Me and
Definitely.
Brett are just alike. If I look at a Debbie cake, I'll gain 10 pounds right there just by looking
Wow.
at it.
So Brenda's craving a pastry or chocolate with strawberries, but gonna instead go make a fatty ribeye. That should help. One of the things that also helps is bacon. I feel like bacon is if you can tolerate bacon, bacon really does help with cravings and also that bite butter, like eating a little bit of butter, pats of butter also helps with cravings.
That saved me a couple weeks ago. I was in town and my wife's parents asked me if I could run by like Papa John's and pick up their pizza for them. And thankfully I had butter in my car because I was planning to cook a steak at their house for supper. So I brought some real butter with me and I brought like a big ribeye. And so thankfully I had a pack of butter in the car because when I smelled that pizza, oh my goodness, it smelled up my whole car. It smelled incredible. But I was thinking about it and thinking about it, and I was getting really, really hungry. And so I took that butter and I didn't have a knife or nothing. I just took a bite off of it and I let it sit in my mouth. And then I felt a little bit better. And then I took another bite and I felt even better. And like by maybe the third bite in, I didn't even want the pizza anymore. And so butter and stuff like that can save you in those situations where you're really wanting something off plan.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's awesome. Great, great advice is to just have a little butter there, and you can definitely, um, help with that. Definitely can help with those cravings. Sandra doesn't eat chicken anymore. I no longer eat chicken. I like chicken thighs and legs, more fat, but I also used to eat chicken breast. I don't touch chicken at all now. I really like chicken. I
I
think.
love the thighs and the legs, and
Mhm.
every now and then I like chicken wings, but I'm not big. Even now, even before carnivore, I was never huge on the breast, and I still don't like chicken breast a whole lot. I will eat it, but I'm not finna go out of my way to buy a chicken breast, and it's just not as good to me.
Yeah, it's dry.
Hmm.
it doesn't have any fat on it. So people are talking about cooking, and I absolutely love cooking. I love to cook. I love to experiment with different recipes and stuff like that. So I've been finding this month of Lion Diet incredibly boring. So actually, let's talk a little bit about the sea lion. I think that if I understand correctly, think you're the person who like coined this phrase, sea lion diet.
Yeah, it was me and one of my subscribers were talking in the comment section, and I told her that because I don't know if it's just because deep down I feel like seafood was meant to be part of the proper human diet, regardless if people think you only eat beef and it's fine. I feel like that people have been fishing for years and years and years. And if it's fresh from like the Gulf or wherever you live, if it's fresh seafood, like wild caught, then I feel like that is proper human diet food. And so I always I always crave it. Like if I go without seafood for a week or two, I start wanting seafood. And so I'll do like shrimp or sometimes salmon or something like that. And I'll do but like if I get shrimp, I'll get some real butter and dip it in it and things like that to help me get that, make sure I'm getting that fat content up to where I want it to be to still feel good. But I was telling my subscribers that like I was like, I want to do line diet, but like, dude, y'all saying that I can only eat ruminant animals and there's no room for seafood. That's a problem for me.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'll do line diet, but I'm gonna add seafood. And she said, "Oh, sea lion." And I was like, absolutely. Let's bring it to the people and tell them that we're doing sea lion. And we call it the sea lion challenge. And we had some people do it and some people enjoyed it. Some people fell off and didn't stick with it the whole month, but some people did finish the whole month. But I think that that is part of the proper human diet. And I've even heard Dr. Berry say that when he came out with the terms BBB and E, he wished he would have said BBB and E and S to put seafood at the end, because seafood is part of the proper human diet, but sometimes we think that it's not, and I feel like it actually is.
I wish I was eating seafood this month. Yeah, that was the thing that really I did the for the month of October, I did the sea lion diet challenge. And the seafood was what really helped me a lot to stay on it for that month. This month, I've committed to do just lion diet, and I don't know if I will ever do that again. I don't know. I felt really good for the first couple of weeks, but for this last couple of weeks, I have felt less good. So I'm like, everybody's looking at me like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with her? She's not her usual bubbly self." I'm like, it's probably because I'm depressed because I'm just eating hamburger patties and steaks every day. Though steaks are delicious. I mean, they still taste good. But I would love it if I could have some shrimp with my steak. That would be really ideal. So,
Yeah, I mean, you got to think people have like 70% or whatever the percentage of this earth is water. And so you can't say that a huge portion of people's diet didn't come from the water. Like,
right.
I mean,
Absolutely, it did.
there's people been fishing and stuff like that for a long time. And yes, in different parts of the world, that people might have had different fish, but they had fish and things like that. But the problem that we have in America is like when people, a lot of people, when they think fish, they think about frying it and all that other stuff. And I know that there's like farm raised fish and stuff like that, and that's not optimal. What's more optimal is like some wild caught and things like that. I feel like would be better when it comes to seafood, but it's part of the proper human diet. And Dr. Berry would definitely agree.
Yes, 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 yes. I have 5 more days and I can't wait to eat some shrimp and bacon. Those are the
I
two
crave
things.
it. If I go without it for a few weeks, I'm starting to think, dude, I need some shrimp. And I honestly think there's something in my body telling me you want something that's in that shrimp.
Yep,
Like
absolutely.
I feel like my body's telling me you want something that's in that shrimp. And I don't have to have it every day, but every
Right.
week or every couple weeks, I'm like, I need some shrimp.
Do you eat any organ meats?
No. Well, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't normally go out of my way to buy them. Like, I mean, growing up in the South and growing up poor, I eat anything. Like, like a lot of people are worried about eating rabbits and squirrels and all that stuff. I don't care, but I don't go out of my way to buy it. But I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody's cooking it or something, I will eat it. But I don't know. I've just never really bought it or anything.
Yeah. So I've been finding myself wanting something like liver every couple of weeks. So similar to what you're saying with the shrimp, I'm like, okay, something in that liver is something that my body needs. So I'm like craving it. So I've actually been eating it like every 2 to 3 weeks because I just feel like I need to eat it. It just sounds amazing. So I know it's got to be because my body is needing something that's,
Yeah, always listen to your body. If your body's telling you something like that, then go.
Mhm,
Our bodies are smarter than we think, and
right.
so go with it. And I'm actually getting a meat grinder, and when I get that meat grinder in, then I might you know experiment with putting a little bit of liver or different things in my grind because I want to grind my own briskets into brisket burgers because a
Nice.
brisket burger is better than normal hamburgers, and
Hmm.
so it's got a better flavor. So I want to grind my own burgers with brisket and stuff like that, and I might put a little bit of liver or something like that in the grind to get a little bit of that extra nutrients.
Nice. That sounds good. I would love to get a meat grinder. I have been watching the people grind up the chicken for the dog food. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to ultimately go ahead and break down and get one of these meat grinders so I can make my own dog food. Lindy wants to know if you're going to Hack Your Health in Austin, Texas in May and June. Looking forward to doing meetup.
I would absolutely love to, but it's not in the budget this year. I
Yeah.
might go to it. I might go to it next year. I've also been asked to go to what is the other one? Keto Palooza, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I can't swing it this year, but hopefully next year I can swing at least one of them.
Yeah, same for me. I would love to go. Actually, Carrie asked me if I was going. I was like, "Dang it, I should be going." But no, I can't. I can't do it this year. We actually take a Disney trip as a family every other year, and this is our Disney year. So pretty much, and plus, I'm going on the cruise with G and Frederick. In I think it's August that we're going on their anniversary cruise, 20-year anniversary cruise. I think it's
Oh,
20 years.
I talked with them like a couple weeks ago. We had a
Yeah.
live stream together, and that was fun.
Yes. 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 Awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah. But
They're
yeah, and see
awesome.
us, we have a cruise planned in April. Our family's doing a little cruise, and well, it's a 7 night cruise out of Texas. And right now, all of my extra money is going towards that trip and everything. And like, I can't just sacrifice my family's vacation to go to
Right.
one of those things. But I've been talking to my wife about it, and I wish I could have went on the what is the cruise that they have, the low carb cruise, because this year that cruise was actually during my birthday, and
Oh man.
I wanted to go, but I just couldn't swing it this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the same for me. I think I'm going to try to go next year. I'm going to just plan for it. And I'm considering Keto Palooza because I could drive there. It's easier to drive there than it is to Texas from
How
where
many
I'm.
hours are you from there?
I don't know.
Oh, you
Kentucky?
don't know
I don't know.
Kentucky? I could drive to Kentucky or Texas. I mean, it's just the added cost and everything. I'm just gonna hold off this year.
Yeah, this year I can't make it. I would have loved to. There's gonna be so many amazing carnivores there. Everybody's talking about it, and I'm having FOMO. But yeah, so you guys have a great time for me, and when you do the meetups, I'll be definitely watching for your videos to see everybody because I did go to a carnivore meetup and it was absolutely fantastic. We are out of time, you guys. I want to go ahead and share Kip's channel. So let me go ahead and do that really quick. I will will share my
Did
screen.
you know that the Browns are coming to my meet and greet in April?
They did tell me that they're coming. They
They
said,
are.
we're going to the cookout.
I'm so excited to have them there and to cook
Yeah,
barbecue for them. It's gonna be exciting, and then it'll get to show my audience, get to meet them and get to know them. I want That's what I want. I want everybody to mingle and get to know other people because it's not just my channel; it's everybody's channel. It's
right.
like we all have different, unique journeys.
Yes, indeed. So, do you want to talk a little bit about your channel?
It's on YouTube. You can check it out. Nah,
Yes.
I like to just keep it real and be honest with my struggles on my channel.
Yeah.
My passion, more than anything, my passion is barbecue, and so I love to cook barbecue. I like cast iron cooking as well. I have
Mhm.
multiple cast iron, a good bit of cast iron skillets, but
Yeah.
barbecue is the number one thing. But for some reason, my cooking, I think it's because I haven't done enough cooking videos. I want to do more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the analytics as my normal videos when I do a cooking video, and sometimes it
Okay.
makes me think, well, maybe they're not interested in that. But then
Mm,
again, the people that do watch them are like, oh my gosh, I love this video. So I
yes.
want to do more cooking videos and give it a fair chance and show people what I know about barbecue because I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I promise you, I know a lot about barbecue.
Yes, indeed. I love the cooking videos. I love cooking videos. So I say yes to more cooking videos.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
and like I said, they don't get quite as many views as my other videos, but the people
Yeah.
that watch them actually love them.
Awesome. Yes. Absolutely. So you
And for
guys,
those of y'all that are on my channel, y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to her channel. I have a link to your channel in the description of this
mhm.
video on my end, so y'all go check her out as well and make sure you subscribe.
Thank you, Kip. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that very, very much. Well, this has been awesome. I have just enjoyed meeting and talking and chatting with you. You're just as down to earth and cool as I knew you were going to be.
I'm just a regular old country boy.
Yes. Hopefully someday I'll get to come to your cookout too. I would love to. So I'll have to watch for that in the future.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that this will be the first of many. I'm hoping we can do this more than once.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, again, we appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing and sharing and all of those kinds of things. Um, we really appreciate Kip being here, and I would love to talk to you again, Kip. We got to talk more about cooking and food and stuff because that's where my passion is. I love cooking and I love eating food. So,
We can talk food anytime. We can set up another live stream at some point and talk about
yes.
food for as long as you want. I love talking about food, especially barbecue.
All right. Most definitely. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, you
Absolutely.
guys, we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Carnivorous Grandma Speaks. I want to just say if you're interested in being a guest on my channel, you can send me an email. So let me put my email address up here. Send me an email if you want to be on Carnivorous Grandma Speaks, either this version of it with the guys or the Women of Wisdom series. I'm happy to have anybody on that wants to talk about the proper human diet because we got to get the word out here. And like I was saying earlier, so many people haven't even heard of a proper human diet or don't even know what it is. So the more we talk about what we're doing and the benefits that we're having, the more blessings we can pass around to everybody by sharing this wonderful, awesome way of life with them. So thanks again, everybody. We hope you have a great night. We will see you next time. Good night,
Take care,
everybody.
y'all.